All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, human being, American, and YouTuber Ronin. And I would like to welcome you to the show. Oh, dear God, no. The 10 worst movies of 2024. Already in the chat, Rusty. Resolute Germ. Darkwoods presents Ember. Joining us all the way from the UK, Shadow of the Raven. Please, everybody, hit the like, share out the stream, let everybody know that we are on the air. I want to say hello to everyone currently following along on X. I can't see you, but I know that you are there. All right. Sin's Corner. My co-host for the Mystery Movie Night podcast. Joining me for this rundown of this cinematic excrement, the Toxic Gunslinger, my partner in crime, the man who cannot be killed. Ladies and gentlemen, Outlaw Bill.
Why, hello there. I'll be your Huckleberry.
All right. Indeed. Well, to get started,
Oh boy.
we
There were some mighty heads in 2024.
Indeed.
We're
We are bringing
about those nuts.
All right, and we are bringing the show to you in February and not March this time.
Yes.
So we're a little bit more with it. So yeah. As far as 2024 was concerned, personally, I found it to be a very mixed year.
Mm-hmm.
There were some really good movies, and we're going to be talking about those on tomorrow's show when we do the best of.
Yep.
But man, there were some movies that I was really disappointed by this year, certainly. And judging by Bill's list, and Bill, I think you have a bigger bone to pick with some of these movies than I do. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to what you have to say. But I think we're both going to be somewhat controversial in some of our picks. I know of one or two they're probably going to come after me for. But look, folks, it's just how it is. It's art.
Yep.
Art is subjective. And it's up to personal taste. And I have always said on this channel that I am, up to a point, a fan of every movie that gets made. So you got together the money, you got the equipment, you got a crew, you hired actors, you went out and you made a movie. Great. Unfortunately, it does not always pan out. And that's what this show is about. So we are not necessarily kicking these movies while they're down. Well, a few of them maybe are. But
you may not, but I will.
We want the next movies that any of the filmmakers and the films we're bringing up today to make something better next time. So I'm going to start off with a few dishonorable mentions. Movies that didn't quite make the list. Hello to Connie Cleary. I see you there?
Hello, Connie.
You haven't missed anything yet, Connie. We haven't gotten to the list. Daniel Barry's sports highlights.
Hello, Daniel.
Darkwoods Presents is with us. I really didn't have anything that stood out other than Deadpool and Wolverine. I am nominating that as best movie of the year. Cool. All right. So here are my basically 20 through 11. Elevation, which was a kind of a Quiet Place ripoff with Anthony Mackie and Marina Baccarin. Just didn't do anything for me. Wicked Little Letters, which was a British film, again, supposed to be a comedy. That was about this real life libel case that took place. And it was kind of woke and silly. And, I'd rather have seen a documentary on it. A movie that we did for Mystery Movie Night called Your Monster. That kind of plays like Beauty and the Beast as a romantic comedy, and then, like so many movies this year, just kind of went off the rails in the third act. My next movie, I know a lot of people liked, and I can see why they did, but I just didn't care for it, and it's Azrael with Samara Weaving. And it's this movie where there's a cult out in the woods. It's this kind of post-apocalyptic film where there are demons and like these burnt people who are like zombies. And you have this cult of people who don't speak, so nobody speaks during the course of the movie. And I just found it to be a little pretentious and kind of up its own ass. But, I give it props for trying, but it just didn't work for me. And my next one is a movie called Year 10. It was basically Azrael all over again. The same plot, only in that movie they don't explain why no one speaks.
Year 10, is that like the multi-year later sequel to Year 1?
May as well have been.
Year 10. Because there was
Year
that
10.
movie, that was comedy movie called Year 1 with Jack Black and that other nerdy fella that
I think Michael Cera was in that.
Yeah.
All right. So my next movie up might be, again, a bit of a controversial pick because people did like it, and it's Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney, which was again a movie that worked for me for like the first 2/3. Very much in the vein of like The Omen and Rosemary's Baby, and then this third act that just kind of went off the rails in a very anti very kind of, I looked at it as almost kind of anti-Catholic in a lot of ways too. And it's just like, and like so many movies this year that were great for the first 2/3 and then just lost it in like that third act.
Was last year with the first Exorcist or whatever that movie was called?
Oh, The First Omen?
No, the first Exorcist. I'm sorry. Was that movie out in 2024?
No.
Oh, no.
My next dishonorable mention is a movie that I actually talked Big Al into watching, and I feel really bad about it because I think he thinks I liked it because he was apologizing that he didn't in his review, and that was a movie called Planet Quake. That was it's an asylum film and I found it for free on YouTube, and I watched it on Lark. And let's just put it this way: nothing as cool as the poster art happens in film, because that would have been their whole budget. It's one of those movies where it kind of felt like a COVID movie, because you had characters who are like talking off screen to other characters you never see. You know, are you okay down there? Yeah, I'm fine over here. You know, it was a very silly film. It wasn't a lot of fun to watch. But Michael Pare is in it, and he was good. So, you know, the 1 star I gave the movie, I gave to it for him. And my next dishonorable mention is a movie that might surprise some people. Again, that it's not on the list, and that was Boneyard with Mel Gibson. And again, a movie that is based on a real life murder case that's happening in, I think it was either Santa Fe or El Paso. I don't remember. And this is a movie I don't remember if you were there that night either, Bill, where Moira showed this movie.
No, anyway. That one doesn't even ring a bell.
Anyway,
movie I didn't hear of.
It's kind of really bad. Mel Gibson is the best part about it. And it was kind of really badly miscast, because you had a Brian Van Holt playing a Mexican, and that dude's about as white as I am. You know, and he's playing a Mexican. And you have 50 Cent playing the police chief. It's just like it's like a wannabe Expendables film. And I think what they really needed to do was to just make a documentary about the real life case. All right, so yeah, Boneyard. I was not happy with it when we got done with the screening. So the fact that it didn't make my bottom 10 is a bit of a surprise. But when you see, I just didn't have enough room to put it on.
When you're trying to narrow the worst 10, it's difficult to like. And what have you seen? What did you not seen? And what what can actually go on this? Those are only 10 films. I mean, sure, there's going to be honorable mentions that that like yeah, but you just want to give those actual 10 worst films, why they were horrible. So we're gonna go down
Rusty,
our
this
list.
is just the dishonorable mentions for right now. Shadow to Raven, I saw that one. It was man. Darkwood says Boneyard was really weird and doesn't go deep enough. Made the main character seem crazy. Yeah. Says The Last Omen wasn't that great. I was looking forward to it. I didn't see the film, so I didn't get to that. Since his Exorcist Believer was 2023. Yeah. There was a movie about a filming of an Exorcist movie. Yeah, that was The Exorcism with Russell Crowe. Post-apocalypse, there were male characters in it. It's just that no one spoke. That was just all. All right, rounding out my my dishonorable mentions list. Rebel Moon. I didn't bother with the director's cuts. Rebel Moon 2 to Scargiver. It's what it was. I liked it better in the first half because there was more action. But that was, I didn't like it really in the end for the same reasons I didn't like the first half. And the movie that almost made the list, but I switched it out at the last minute, was I Saw the TV Glow. And this is a movie that is been getting very, very mixed reviews. There
And
are the people.
that's a horror title.
It is, and but it allegedly. There's
Yeah,
nothing. There's
I don't.
nothing horrific in it at all.
I think I meant to see that one, but haven't watched it yet, so I have no idea what.
Now it's a movie where everybody thinks it is either a masterpiece or the worst movie of the year, and I'm like, I don't think it's really either. You know, I liked the production design of it. I liked the feel of the film. I get the point that it's trying to make. I understood. I didn't get the point of it because there's no plot and there's no character development at all. But what all right, because I'll say this because the filmmaker has said this. Okay, the movie is supposed to be a trans allegory, but the point is you can't tell that from the film itself because it doesn't make any attempt to explain itself, the plot or anything else. I mean, there's there are setups. You have scenes with between the lead character and his mother that are probably the best in the film. They don't go anywhere. They kill her off really early on in the movie. He has a stepfather who's played by Fred Durst. What's his deal? What is the attraction between him and the mother to begin with? Because they seem so arm's length from one another. There was nothing to it. It was style, but no substance. Darkwood says Rebel Moon, the first movie wasn't good enough to get a sequel. Hello to Wilkins Movies and Music. It's good to see you, sir.
Hello, Wilkins.
Gorilla's Censored Thoughts is if the movie Queer starring Daniel Craig isn't at the top of your worst movie list and your list is null and void. I didn't see the film.
That's another one. Yeah, that's another one I didn't see. So yeah, sorry.
It didn't. I can't. I can't review a movie I didn't see.
Yeah, exactly. You can't review a movie or have it on your list of worst movies for a year when you haven't seen it.
Yeah. So that was my kind of 20 through 11, my dishonorable mentions. Do you have any dishonorables that aren't on your list?
I'm sure I do, but I can't think of them right now. So I'll just rather get into the list of 10 worst ones that I did see and go explain a little bit why I didn't like the film. So.
Okay. Let's see. Would you like to go first again this year, Bill, or how would you like to?
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay. All right. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty here. And my number 10 is again going to be a controversial pick because a lot of people loved it. I understand why, but man, I had so many issues with this movie. It's not even funny. My number 10 is Alien Romulus. I grew up on the Alien films. I love the Alien films. I even like number 3.
Wow.
with all its issues.
That's a
And
bold statement.
I found something to like in that. I think the assembly cut is the better version, honestly, than theatrical. But that's neither here nor there. But the point is I have seen all of the Alien films. And Covenant, I was not a fan of. Covenant made my 10 worst list of that year. You know, Prometheus was supposed to be the start of a new sequel. And they kind of abandoned that for what we got out of Covenant. I heard, I remember when Brad Jones did his review for Covenant. And he said, we didn't get a smarter film, we got a dumber film. And that's what happened with Covenant. And so I was hoping Romulus would be that return to form.
Yeah.
And
it made my number 9.
Yeah, it's your number 9.
My number. Yeah.
Yeah. So when man, I don't even know where to start with this thing. You have all of the. It's basically just a mixtape.
It is
of the other films.
Yeah, that's what really put me off on Alien Romulus. Like, sure, there's a lot. There's a neat scene when you have all the face huggers, but it also plays off. It's kind of cheesy and rip-offs of the original film, core films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it messes with lore.
Yeah.
For example, if there are multiple versions of Ash running around, that makes the Nostromo crew look really stupid.
Yeah.
Because they would have known he was the mole. They have the whole thing where somehow the alien from the original movie survived and got to this and was found and was taken to this base, this Romulus station.
Which I really couldn't wrap my head around. That really bothered me. Big stickler for me hating this film.
So the fact that they mess around with how quick the gestation period of the alien is, which in this movie just seemed to be at the convenience of the script. And hello to Caveat Ties.
Hello, Caveat Ties.
And you're putting expository dialogue into the mouth of a character who you cannot understand what one word he's saying. There was a lot of really bad acting in this movie. I thought the Ian Holm deep fake was just creepy. That bothers me. I didn't like this film, and Alien Romulus is my number 10 worst movie of 2024.
Right.
Shadow of the Raven says he lost interest in the Alien movies long ago. Indeed. All right. So, Bill,
my number 10,
number 10
worst film of 2024 would be the Crow remake. I just hate almost every single aspect of this film. Like it wasn't necessary for a remake, and why they treaded on something that was already pretty good. I do not comprehend why, and just the whole way they came at the film and the storyline of the Crow is just yeah, it was a huge put off for me. That Crows 2024 is my number 10 worst film for 2024.
All right. In the chat, Shadow of the Raven says that lost interest in the Alien movies long ago.
I can't say I blame you there.
Yeah. Sen says the gestation period being hugely truncated annoyed me so much. I've heard of this sort of thing. Was kind of sort of explained in the previous film, though. That just seems like a lazy workaround. Yeah. Sen said, "Yeah, the Crow remake was bad. It
was it was god awful, Sin.
Unfortunately,
I'd say god awful. Oh, like why? Why did they do this? Why? Who? What type of audience are they trying to get? It's like modern audiences. It's like, yeah.
Sadly. All right. So on to my number 9. And since this never should have made it about Eric Draven.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned, folks. I'm going to be going into that in a little bit more detail later on in the show. Shadow of the Raven said, yeah, it looked bad. Okay. Now, my number 9 is going to go under the A-list actors in straight to streaming movies category. And hello to Zombie Box Reviews.
Hey, Zombie Box.
And I mentioned one in my dishonorable mentions, Boneyard. And Boneyard, I almost had on my list. But it got usurped by Armor, starring Sylvester Stallone and Jason Patric. This was another one of Moira's sort of bootleg specials. And oh man. The story in and of itself is not a bad one, on the face. You have this armored car heist that takes place in a kind of out of the way, in this case on an abandoned bridge. There was a movie about 10 or 15 years back called Armored with Lawrence Fishburne, Jean Reno. It's kind of the same plot as this movie. Now, here's a little backstory into the making of Armored. This was a movie that was basically filming did not end. It pretty much stopped after 9 days. There's a producer on this film by the name of Randall Emmett. And Randall Emmett is kind of a shady kind of guy. And he does a lot of these kind of movies to go to straight to video, usually has Stallone in them. And basically, this producer took over the production of this film. Usurped the director, the credited director at every turn. Told Stallone he was directing the movie. Stallone worked on this movie for, I've heard, from either 1 to 3 days. He basically does all of the scenes that take place on the bridge in one other. I'll give him this. He's actually on screen with other actors. So it's not like they shot all of his stuff separately. He's there. But man, it's a nothing burger movie. I don't know what either of these actors were doing in it other than a paycheck. I'm really tired of movies that are these like straight to video movies like this that have these A-list stars. And if this is as good as they're ever going to get, then my thought on them is just don't even bother with movies like this.
Exactly.
Because just no point to them. They're cash grabs, not only for the actors but for the producers involved. And I feel sorry for the people who had to work on this movie with all of the shenanigans going on. I feel sorry for Stallone because it feels like he got hoodwinked into this thing. He's good in the movie. So is Jason Patric. The actors are not bad. It's very poor. I don't even want to say it's poorly directed because this was a movie that was directed by the producers. You know, one of the major characters dies and you don't see it happen. It's like, how the guy was right next to you. How do you miss that? You know, I mean, this character dies in an explosion. He is standing next to Sylvester Stallone's character, supposedly, when this happens. And then you have Stallone go like, whoa, where's Tony? You know, like he was next to you. You know, just like, how did you miss that? You know, you know, don't even bother with this movie. I know a lot of people probably haven't heard of it. It went pretty much straight to VOD. This doesn't even belong in a bargain bin at Walmart.
Wow. That's got to be the biggest insult I've ever heard. Wow. That's pretty bad.
Shadow of the Raven says, best film I saw Jason Patric in was Narc with Ray Liotta. Yeah, fantastic film. I love Narc. Gets a lot of comparisons to Training Day. I think it's better than Training Day in a lot of ways. Yeah, great film. Sin says, okay, got to get back to some audio work. We'll keep the tab open but muted in case you're still here. Want to take a break. All right, take it easy, Sin. All right. 62 people watching on my end right now. Thank you all very much for being here. Enjoy the rest of the show. We're very early on. That was my my number 9. And we've already brought up your number 9.
Number 9 is Alien Romulus.
Do you have anything more that you would like to say about it?
Just that I didn't enjoy the storyline. That was weak. I do like the actor who played the new droid, the new artificial human, or whatever
you're
calling it.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like they stole. They were going for nostalgia when they said, "Get away from her, you bitch," you know. Blah blah blah. It's just, you know. But basically, all the reason we were already discussed is why I didn't like Alien Romulus. We can move along.
All right. So onward and upward to my number 8. And my number 8 goes under bad comedies. Yeah, they're called synths. Yeah, whatever. We'll say androids. All right, my number 8 is Babes. This was another mystery movie night selection. All right, so you have these two best friends, Alana Glazer and Michelle Buteau, and they are from the comedy series Broad City, and Michelle Buteau is the kind of family woman. You know, she has a child at the beginning of the film, and Alana Glazer is like her single pal. And she meets this guy on the train, on the subway, played by Stephen James, and has this kind of one night stand with him. Then he ghosts her, and she finds out later on that he actually died the next morning, and she is now also pregnant with his child. So you have this very unfunny kind of millennial comedy chain of events that takes place. You know, I said during the review that, you know, these comedies that they make for the millennials, for the Gen Zers, it just doesn't work for me. It's kind of this. It's this non humorous humor.
Yes.
This is like, you know, a movie made for the people who like that Tim and Eric show. You know, if you liked, except for the Tommy Wiseau episode, that was actually funny because Tommy Wiseau was in it. But, you know, if you liked the Broad City TV show, you'll probably like this movie. If you didn't, it's not going to be your cup of tea. I'll give it a couple of good. I will say a couple of good things about it. John Carroll Lynch is good. Oliver Platt plays Alana Glazer's father. He's funny. He's good. He's only in a couple of scenes in the movie, though. I wanted to see more of him. And the one thing that I did like, that I will absolutely give this movie credit for, even though it's on my worst list, it is a pro-family film. Because when they have the scene where she decides she's going to keep the baby regardless, right? She actually says, "This is a life. I'm going to have this kid." You know, so, you know, I'm dancing around a word because it's YouTube, but you know, she makes the decision to keep the child, in that the other consideration is not something that she even considers. It's like, I'm keeping this kid, you know, this is a life. So, yeah, but it's just that you have like these adult characters, and they're all kind of acting like children, you know, until like the last few minutes of the movie, and by then it's too late. You know, it's like I said, it's this non-humor humor. You know, I like the pro-family message that it does, because, you know, if this was an Amy Schumer movie, they would go the other way with it. And don't worry, Amy Schumer, I'm getting to you here on this list.
Oh boy.
So you're describing a Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Yeah. It's if you like this Broad City TV show, you'll like this movie. If you don't, just stay away. It's not funny. You know, I like I said, I like the fact that she chooses to keep the baby and doesn't even consider the other thing that I'm trying to avoid saying. But other than that, it's not funny. It's not funny and it's kind of gross in a lot of ways too. And hello to JPRPH1. Good to see you.
Hello, GPR1.
All right. So yeah, that was Babes, and that was my number 8.
All right, my number 8 worst film for 2024 was Hellboy. Another Hellboy movie. I was like, why did they do this? Why? And it's just everything about that. It's a straight to video, I guess, or streaming or whatever. Yeah, I didn't. The actor who is like Hellboy's he's too scrawny. Hellboy is not supposed to be scrawny. He looks too weak to be Hellboy for the first place. And it's just the story is so horribly done bad. You lose interest. You lose interest after like maybe 20 minutes into the film. I made myself sit through it, and it's like, oh god, it just kept getting worse and worse as the film went on. For like, it's 1 hour and 33-minute runtime. I think something like that.
Yeah, they keep it short. Yeah. Darkwood says Hellboy is supposed to be meat stack like when I was 20. Yeah, well, the actor that they have playing Hellboy in this, I've seen him in other things. I actually like him quite a bit. He's an actor named Jack Hesse, who has he was also in the movie The Outpost a few years back, and he is a former Marine who's now an actor, and so I mean, I like the guy. I thought he was fine. Personally, I thought the movie itself was. I obviously liked it better than you did. I thought it was a rental. I like the fact that they brought the creator Mike Mignola in to write the script. How much of what he wrote ended up in the final film, I don't know. But I think some of it did. Anyway, I thought it was interesting enough to give it a look. But I understand looking at it why people didn't dig it. And I think with me personally, because again, it was a movie I saw here on YouTube. I think if I had to pay a rental price or if this was in theaters, I think it would be a lot lower. But with me, it was kind of middle of the road. I didn't hate it. I don't think it's the best movie ever made by any means, but I get why. I understand why it didn't work for you. And
yeah.
Well,
the first two Hellboy movies, you had Guillermo del Toro doing the the monsters and creatures, and it's like you're spoiled on that, and it's just like nah.
And this is and Brian Taylor, though a competent director, he's not Del Toro.
Yeah.
And it's not that same. It's not that same amount of imagination. It's a much lower budgeted movie. I think it was crowdfunded. But I felt personally for what they had, it wasn't anything brilliant, but it was fine. You know, I think I went 3 out of 5 with it, which is like my rental score. You know, I don't think there's going to be a sequel to this Hellboy. Though.
No,
I'll give
no,
you
it was one of those god awful films. Like,
yeah,
just like the title says. Oh dear God, why? Why did this get me? Anyway, yeah.
All right. That was your number 8.
8.
All right. So on to my number 7, which once again goes under the category of. Oh, you weren't talking about Hellboy. You were talking about Penguin. Okay, yeah. Shadow. Let me clarify for Shadow of the Raven. So I've lost interest in most comic book movies, but Penguin's good. I liked it. Okay. All right. Well, this next movie, which is my number 7, is again under the category of unfunny comedies. Now, earlier this year, Jerry Seinfeld made some controversial, in some circles, controversial remarks, you know, about comedies basically being woke and unfunny and afraid to upset anyone, right? He was seeing a real downturn when it came to comedy. Then he goes and makes Unfrosted. A movie where I laughed exactly one time in its 90-minute runtime. This was a Netflix film. Co-starring Jim Gaffigan, Melissa McCarthy, Jack McBrayer, and Amy Schumer. So, oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew what I was getting into with this, folks. And the movie is about the invention of the Pop-Tart. I call this movie How to Fail at South Park, because that's what it felt like they were going for. It felt like they were going for like a South Park style humor, and it didn't fly. It wasn't. I laughed one time during the course of this movie, one time. And it was a line that Christian Slater has. Because they try to play up milkmen like they're some kind of mafia. You know, and there's a scene where like Christian Slater kidnaps Jerry Seinfeld, and that's a funny scene. But that was it. It's just you don't rail against comedy, say comedies aren't funny anymore, which he's right, they're not.
No, they're not.
But this movie wasn't funny either. It looks good. The production design is fine. The acting itself is fine. I'm just saying, I get what he was trying to do. He was trying to do something along the lines of like a modern day version of Modern Times. I get it. You know, I'm sorry. I didn't think it was funny. And I don't think anybody thought it was funny. I haven't heard a single review yet for this movie that was good. So Netflix, you did it again. You have once again made our 10 worst list.
Oh, jeez.
Unfrosted.
That's one I don't know of or never heard of until now. So a lot of the movies escaped me in 2024. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, for the most part, you were probably lucky.
Now, I was trying to watch my number 7 to see if it would make my best of, and after watching it just the other day, it definitely it deserves my number 7 worst of, because I couldn't get into it. It seemed like the movie dragged on, and Better Man is my number 7. I just couldn't like this film. I didn't necessarily understand why he was a chimp, until you told me that he sees himself as a chimpanzee. But
Mm-hmm.
I tried to give this film my due diligence, but I couldn't get it. I think I shut it off with like maybe 15 or 10 minutes left. I couldn't watch it anymore. This movie's driving me nuts. I can't take any more of it. So yeah.
And
it didn't work for me in so many ways.
I hear you. Well, I'm going to be talking about this movie again on tomorrow's list, because I strongly disagree with Bill on this. At the same time, I understand that it's not a movie for everybody, but I think it kind of deserved better than it got. I'll be going into that more on tomorrow's show, because Better Man made my best of. But it's okay. We can disagree. It's not going to be a movie for everybody. Tomorrow I'll explain why it worked like gangbusters for me. But, until then, Bill's number 7, Robbie Williams, Better Man.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the next film on my list. Hold on. There's a list. Shadow of the Raven. I assume he sees himself as a performing monkey. Yeah, up to a point. Yeah, it's kind of a psychological thing too, with him, because I'll go more into it when I bring it up on tomorrow's list. But Yeah, there is a specific reason why he sees himself as an ape, and they do explain it in the film pretty early on. So yeah. All right. So moving on to my number 6. And again, another movie that I really wanted to like because I like monster movies. My number 6 is the giant spider movie Sting. This is a real disappointment. And again, a movie that a lot of people loved at the beginning of the year when they saw it. This was back in April. Basically, in the middle, it's New York in the middle of a blizzard. So it's nobody going in or out. Right, it takes place in this apartment building, and basically this this asteroid lands near this building, and this basically alien spider creature comes out of this asteroid, and this little girl keeps it, and it starts to grow bigger. It starts attacking people in this apartment building, and it starts getting bigger, and it starts multiplying, and we're off and running. And if only that were all the movie was about. What the movie is really about is about this girl's father, who's the super of the building, and he wants to be a comic book artist. He's creating a comic book. He's trying to sell it. He's constantly being rejected, and he's getting close to the girl who's his stepdaughter by letting her help him out with ideas for this comic book. So it's kind of the two of them are doing it together in a way. Now, this guy is surrounded by all these women who are in his life, right? The stepdaughter, the new wife, the bitchy aunt who hates him, who runs the building. And basically what this movie is this guy trying to do the right thing by everybody. Him getting constantly shed on for it. And at the end of the movie, he's the one who has to apologize. Why are you apologizing? You're the one character in the movie that did nothing wrong. This is supposed to be a giant spider sci-fi action movie. And what the movie is really about is this guy having to apologize for being the man.
For being the patriarchy.
Patriarchy. Yeah, this is a woke piece of shit film. It's boring. Nothing happens in it until like the last 20 minutes. I hated it. I absolutely hated this movie. There's no redeem. You take a giant spider movie and you wokeify it. It was terrible.
God, the worst. Blasphemer! Blasphemer!
Hello to the tired midnight blogger himself, Curtis
Hello,
Selby,
Curtis.
joining us in the chat. Is anyone playing any movies tonight? Well, yeah, I am going to be joining Big Al Presents tonight. I'm going to be replacing Troy and Netter tonight as they're at MegaCon. So I'll be on the Saturday night edition of Films with Friends. And we're going to be watching Damnation Alley. That's going to be at 10 p.m. Dark Woods, I passed on that one too. Saved a lot of money this year not going to the theater. Shadow of the Raven, no movies enough at the moment, so no. They had a movie like this called Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors is way better. Hello to Venom Bite. Good to see you.
Venom Bite. What's up?
Wasn't there a real case of a wannabe comic artist who killed his wife, like one of the characters in his comics? Ooh. Hadn't heard that. No. That type of apologizing is relatable, though. Laugh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it didn't make this movie any fun to watch, I'll tell you that. It has some decent creature effects, but that's it.
Wow.
Skip this one, I say.
Okay. That's another one I didn't see, but I did see this one for my worst number 6 on my list. Mm-hmm. That would be Dune Part 2. I was really, really, really disappointed because I guess because I'm such a fan of the 84 Dune that came out in theaters. And it's his director just passed away. Anyway, yeah, I just did not like this film. It was long, and did I mention that it was long and boring? It was very hard, and then I know Dune fans. I think even the Dune fans were like it. Like the first one, but were very disappointed with this second part of what I think is trying to be a trilogy. So I don't even know if they're gonna do a third one still yet. And but everything about this Dune didn't work for me, and it was boring, and I was wanting, and read that by its end, it was like, gee, that's almost 2.5 hours and 45 minutes that I can't get back in my life. Like, I never need to revisit this film again. So that's did not like Dune Part 2.
Go ahead.
That's about all I have to say about Dune Part 2.
Well,
long, boring, and
my thought on it when I did the review roundtable with Sin and Paulie and Big Al was good movie, bad adaptation, because it takes so many liberties with the source material that when they do get to Dune Messiah, which is supposed to be the next one, there are certain, there are certain plot points that got cut out or completely changed, like the choice Chani makes at the end. In the book and in the previous film version, she's very much a stand by your man type. In this, she leaves in a huff because Zendaya, she was, in my opinion, very badly miscast. Um, I'm sorry, folks. I know Zendaya has her fans. That girl cannot act. Looking like you're pissed off all the time does not make you look hard or sexy.
No.
I like this movie enough to kind of recommend it if you want to put it up against the first half of the movie, but that was way better. This didn't make my 10 worst, but it's nowhere near my 10 best. It's again a very disappointing middle of the road film. I did like Austin Butler as Fader Alpha. I liked him. I thought he was good. Technically, it's very good. It's a well-made film, but it's the story that, to me, and the changes that they made to it that downgraded it. I know a lot of people love this movie. It's nominated for Best Picture. I don't think it should be, personally, but compared to a lot of what's been out this year, which has been a lot of crap, I can kind of understand why people are enjoying it. Because at least it, in my opinion, at least it tried to be a good movie. Like what says, we have to have something to keep us going to the movies. It's such a shame Hollywood is digging a deep grave. You mean Zendaya was in the movie? Yeah. The caveat Ty said, I like Dune except what they did with Chani. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the Chani character. I still did not like it.
Shadow the Raven says, found the Dune movies emotionally flat.
Yes. Yeah, that's where I am. That's where I am, Shadow. They are pretty much flat. Hail Jacob Ironside.
Yes, Jacob Ironside is with us. He says about Zendaya, nope, definitely can't act. Venom Bite says, I agree with you. Zendaya's miscast as Chani. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree to that sentiment too. Yeah.
Darkwood says Chani should have been more vocal and have more to do with the story. Yeah. Wish the battle scenes were more too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob Irons says they didn't even show the battle at the end. That's what the whole story is leading up to, and it's just a disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Dune 2 better than Bill, but all of the people who are saying this is Best Picture and Villeneuve should have been Best Director, and all of the people that I had to listen to through all of the Oscar specials who are every 2 seconds going, Dune 2, Dune 2, Dune 2, Dune 2. Even animated short film, where's Dune 2? It wasn't that good, guys. It's not on my list, but no.
Yeah.
There are 10 movies up for Best Picture this year. I have at present seen 4 of them. Of that 4, I think only one deserves to be in that list. So that's how bad the year was, folks. Darkwood says, yeah, the battle in the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries was pretty good. Yeah, the Sci-Fi Channel version is the better version, I think, because they get to they gave themselves the time to go into the story. The battle being noticeably missing is what's really wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a disappointment. All right. So, folks, we are at the halfway mark.
Yep. We've got 5 more on the list.
We do. But before we do that, since we have the chat here, tell us about some of the movies this year that you didn't like or that you felt were disappointing to you in some ways that you
This
had
is for the calendar year of 2024.
of 2024?
Yeah.
Yes. Venabite says, yeah, I like this sci-fi series version of Dune. Indeed. Well, let me tell you about a movie that isn't on my personal list, but man, I did have some issues with it. And every year I have a movie that I call the best of the worst. And this is a movie that's not one that I can recommend by any means, but usually something that was so kind of batshit insane that I can't help but kind of like it. And you know how like you think of it as a good bad movie. For me, that movie this year is Gladiator 2. You know, and you gotta understand. I went into Gladiator 2 with some trepidation, because I knew it wasn't going to be as good as the original. But I liked the cast, so I was willing to give it a try. And when they got to the CGI monkeys, the CGI baboons, I realized, oh my God, I'm watching the Asylum version of Gladiator. And I know, Bill, you're going to be talking about Gladiator 2 here later on, so I don't want to steal the thunder. I'm just saying that once I realized, oh my God, I'm watching an Asylum version of Gladiator, I just sat back and just let this train wreck, just let this train wreck go. So on the list of my best worst movie of 2024, Gladiator 2, because I could laugh at it. Shadow of the Raven says Joker 2 was not good. That's difficult. Most were horrible. Joker 2 also would be the worst. I'm glad I didn't see, but it hurt my feelings. Shadow of the Raven said, watched 10 minutes of Gladiator 2 and gave up. Rusty says,
better man than
was almost 2024. True. More like Sadiator, am I right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're up to number 5.
Yep, number 5.
All right. So my number 5 is Borderlands. The movie, so bad that its credited screenwriter took his name off of the movie.
It's funny. I actually like Borderlands. I don't know why. I liked it. I don't know why I liked it, but I didn't think it's bad as everybody claims it to be.
Yeah. And this was a movie where its credited director couldn't be bothered to finish it, so he went off and Eli Roth, of course, and he went off to do his own film, Thanksgiving, which was the better of the two films, let's be honest. At least for me, anyway. And it wasn't so much that I didn't like the movie. It's just that it's a movie where nothing happens for 100 minutes. It's one note. It kind of does its thing and leaves. And this is kind of what I'm talking about
It is more or less what you call a popcorn film, you know. And I hate labeling it as that, but it is. But for me, I found it an enjoyable popcorn film.
Hmm. And granted, I am, I haven't played the Borderlands games. Maybe I'm missing something in translation, not being familiar with them, but
Most people will say that's why they hated this film because I don't know. I haven't played the games either, so I can't judge. So I know of the games. I've just never played the games.
It's like I feel like this can't be it. Everybody just feels like they're miscast. All the characters come off annoying. It feels like it was edited down to like the bare minimum. And by the time I was just glad it was over. I was more bored with it than anything else. Jacob Ironside says, so far on your list, I've only seen Doom Part 2. Curtis says, I think my favorite movie of last year's was a tie between Boy Kills World and Deadpool and Wolverine. Cool. All right. All right. So, yeah, that was my number 5. Was Jamie Lee Curtis more annoying than the other cast? No. Just miscasters her character. I don't know why she's in it. It felt like a paycheck movie for everybody involved. To me. But
I will say that that's a fair assessment. Deleted scenes.
That's a paycheck movie.
Yeah.
I
still had fun with it and still liked it though, even though others don't. Hated it.
Talking of editing mess, Salem's Lot. Oh, yeah. Salem's Lot didn't make my list. I did see it. Yeah, it's not good. Salem's Lot is very dense, the story. There's a lot of characters. It takes place over years in the book. And the movie was bullet points. Things just happen. This happens because this happens because this happens. And the pacing was way off. It was disappointing. I'm not recommending it. Give me the same actors again in a better adaptation. It just was. It was a mess. Didn't make our worst lists, but Bill, did you see Salem's Lot or?
No, I didn't see Salem's Lot, so I couldn't put it on my list. So I do have my number 5 worst film. That would be the horror film called Tenet. I liked this film up until the ending, and the ending this is one of those movies where the ending destroys the whole film. I was enjoying it until it got to the ending, and then I say, well, god damn it, that movie just sucked. That ending, that was lame. That's what I was saying. That's so lame. It's so lame. It's so stupid. Modern horror films like this should not be made. I don't know why they get made. It's all around bad.
Mhm.
It's bad. Casted well, had some interesting things, but it was the end that slayed it in for me, and it killed the whole film. It's like, yeah, no, I've easily forgettable in 1.1 milliseconds. That's where I got when I got to the ending of this horrible horror movie.
Yeah, I'm not recommending it either. Didn't make my list. I think they should have kind of bitten the bullet and killed off Jacob Batalon at the end, instead of having that fake out of having him show back up at the end. But yeah, it's basically a Final Destination movie.
Yeah, a lame attempt and a stupid ripoff.
Yeah,
and that's another thing that killed it.
It's the second worst Final Destination film, as far as I'm concerned. All right, this is Venom Bites. Don't forget Jack Black play Claptrap in Borderlands. Yeah, he was annoying. Sin taking a coffee break. Yeah, Salem's Lot was disappointing. They should have made it a mini series. Yeah, Rusty says the original Salem's Lot is still better. Agreed.
Yes, the original one from the yes.
Curtis Selby giving some props to the League of Ungentlemanly Warfare. All right. All right. So on to
number 4.
4. Okay.
Number 4.
Let me take that down. Darkwood says, I mean, I should like movies like Tarot, but it made me sick, so I deleted it. Okay. All right. So let me scroll down and get to my number 4. A movie that I'm sure is on the 10 worst list of most people. Madam Web.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And you're like, oh my God. Madam Web is only number 4? Yeah. Madam Web was my number 1 worst for a while. And then some other movies came along and usurped it.
Yeah.
This is an incomplete film. It is badly edited. It's ADR'd to death. It was a movie that was clearly changed in editing, despite the fact that the director, S.J. Clarkson, claims this is the movie she was trying to make. And I go, oh, really? Oh, okay. The worst villain I have ever seen in a comic book film or any movie, really. And he keeps going on and on about, I had nothing. I came from nothing, and he's so obviously ADR'd, these girls, they will grow up, they'll have powers, they'll come and take my empire. And I'm like, dude, what empire? You're in a penthouse apartment. You spy bang this woman so you can kill her and get her NSA password. How did you find her? He has this hacker girl, right, working for him, who's David Mamet's daughter. What happened to her bullshit detector? So it's like, I must find these women, and they'll have powers, they'll come and get me. I have to kill them first, and all this, and she's all like, wait, what? No, I don't want any part of that. And I'm like, well, what did you think you were signing on for? You know? You're a hench person. Act like it, damn it. You know, so, you know. Oh, by the way, Dakota Johnson, learn to open a Pepsi can, please. You don't have to keep showing it to the camera, honey. Don't play with it. Just open the fucking can. Come on. It's not so hard. Just click, you know. It works. Trust me. You know? Oh my God, all the product placement in this movie. Killing the villain by a Pepsi sign. You know, it's just oh my God, this movie was so stupid. Sydney Sweeney, I love you, but you haven't been in a good movie yet. Just oh my God. What was this thing? Why this was a rights retention film. Let's be honest. That's what this was. This was a rights retention film. This is, you know, Sony's Spider-Man universe. It doesn't have Spider-Man in it. And man, I'm glad it's over. I didn't bother with Venom 3. I didn't bother with Kraven. They're not on the list. I didn't bother with them. I didn't see them. This was enough for me. This incomplete film that the actors in it didn't know whether this was MCU or not. You know, Dakota Johnson didn't get two shits about this movie. It's obvious when you watch it.
So
you know, I don't want to
review movie.
Yeah, I don't want to review this movie. I want to grade it. And if it's possible,
bad.
You know, if it's possible to give a movie an F-, it would be this movie.
Oh wow.
Since I had bones to pick with a few other movies besides Madam Web, that one did make my list as well. Dark Woods with Madam Web was horrible. I watched lengthy reviews of it and it was picked apart. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not see this film, so I couldn't put it on my list. Not that I would. I mean, I probably would if I would take the time to watch it, but I'm just not going to take the time to watch it because I heard all the bad reviews and like that was enough for me. So yeah. That was enough for me.
Curtis says, I've seen a screen rant of it. I had zero interest in watching it. Pepsi killed the villainous star. Pepsi killed the villainous star. Pepsi
actually
killed the villainous star.
I was gonna lie. Yeah. I was gonna lie, and this was gonna be my fourth one, but I didn't see it, so you can't have it on the list if you actually see. You can't have it on your best worst list if you didn't see it. Well, I didn't take no time to see it, so it didn't make my list. But I know it's bad.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what is my.
Yeah. Darkwood says Venom 3 was all right. Wouldn't have seen it in theater. Since a Stay Away from Love Hurts too. Yeah. Yeah, her video for that film is up right now. Watch that. And Curtis saying, you got it. Okay. So we are going to move on to Bill's number 4.
Now, only from curiosity did I go watch this film. And boy, did I regret it afterwards. This one's a popular film. This one's Joker. Fala. Fala. If that's what it's called. But Joker. Fala. Yeah, is my number 4 worst film of 2024. Oh, so cringe. So bad. So lame. Such a waste of time. Why? The filmmaker, I think, hated doing it. I think it in a way could have been his middle finger to the studio. You know, I'm gonna go waste your money on crapola. What am I gonna give you? I'm gonna give you a big pile of heaping crap. This film is crap. Sounds like crap. Feels like crap. Okay, we're going to spend money on a lady that's a good singer, but a horrible actress. But yeah, why not? Why not? Stupid, lame, not worth the time. Yes. You have anything to say about it, Deleted?
Didn't see it. It is on HBO Max. I didn't get around to it. I didn't bother. It doesn't sound like I'm missing anything.
No, you didn't miss a thing. Just a waste of time.
All right, so let's see. Sin says, Joker 2, my number one for the year. I'm still angry about that one. Rusty with Why is Right. Raven, yeah, it was not great. Curtis says, I need to watch the first Joker. I'm going to pretend Joker Follow You Do didn't happen.
Yeah.
Rusty said, not 1 second of joy in that movie. Totally bleak.
Nope. Yep.
James, appreciate the message. She's talking about we got a conversation about The Substance going on, and go through that real quick. I watched parts of The Substance. While I could see it was making a point, I was too disgusted to enjoy it for my money. The stuff, while not as artsy, makes a similar point in a lot more fun way. To which Sin says, St. Curtis, appreciate the message. The last third of the movie just tanked for me. Couldn't love it like so many other people seem to. Yeah, I saw The Substance yesterday. Either last night or the night before for the first time. I thought it was fine up until the last 20 minutes. It's like they didn't know how to end it. I get the point of the movie about how this woman's vanity is basically killing her. But it could have been better, I'm glad that the Academy nominated a horror movie for Best Picture, but I didn't think it was that great. It's fine. Could have been better, though, in my opinion. Speaking of Madam Web, have you watched Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney? Part of it didn't do anything for me, to be honest. For clarification, my number one worst for the year, not best. Yeah. Joker Follow You Do was Sin's number one, and it's Bill's number 4. Mm-hmm. And it's not on my list because I didn't bother with it. All right. But we will get on to my number
3.
4? No, 3.
Number 3.
Okay. Let me get back to my list here and scroll down. All right. So, let's see. Number 3. And my number 3 is The Crow. Now, if they had just simply changed the names of the characters, not called them Eric Draven, don't call her Shelley Webster, I would have said generic action movie and moved on. What this film does to the characters of Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, what it does to the source material by claiming to be a remake, shits all over the original film and the memory of Brandon Lee. This movie is a sacrilege.
Blasphemy.
It should never have been made.
Yep. Agreed.
The characters are god-awful.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you making Eric a junkie. Why? Why is he attracted to this woman who just comes in and throws a hand grenade into his already shitty life? Yeah, this movie is terrible. And in the end, he gets nothing out of it. He gets involved with this woman. They escape this rehab center. You know. All right, here's basically the story. Okay. They're junkies. They meet in rehab. We find out Shelley was involved with the villain, who is this character Vincent, played by Danny Houston. And he has the ability to do what is referred to in the movie as whispering. And he can basically control people's minds and get them to do his bidding. You know, like if he wants someone killed, he will whisper to someone and that person will go off and do the murder. And he does that to Shelley. And this is recorded, this murder. So it's all about the bad guys trying to get this tape. Well, this recording, not a tape. But I'm old. I said tape, you know. So they want to get this recording, and so they kill Eric and Shelley. The two main hench people that I refer to as Udo Kier and Tilda Swinton, because that's who they look like. So Eric dies. They're both killed. Eric goes into the netherworld. He meets this character named Kronos, who, you know, basically teaches him to be the Crow, and he's not really the Crow until like the last half hour of the movie. And he goes to the whole investigation of who did it and why. And he loses his powers for a bit because he loses his faith in her because he thinks she's killed somebody. So he gets his faith back. He goes on this bloody rampage of killing all of these kind of random hench people who, for all you know, may have been whispered to. So, you know, they're just these guards doing their job. You don't know if they even have anything to do with what's going on. So again, he's kind of killing all of these innocent people for no reason, you know. So he works up to because the villain is at this opera house because he's involved with this girl who's in the show, and that goes nowhere because she disappears from the film. And he goes on this bloody rampage. He kills these NPCs, as I'm calling them, because that's what they are. You know, he kills Udo Kier and Tilda Swinton, and decapitates them, and then throws their heads out into the crowd of these people who are innocent people who are just there to watch the show. So, oh my God, what are you doing? This is our hero. So finally, Vincent gets the idea in his head that, oh, I must find the crow and I must kill him and take his powers because I am a mere immortal. And so, it's all, so there's this whole showdown. Eric kills Vincent. Kronos drags him back to hell. And because in the end, only one of them can be saved, Eric is sort of forced to walk this underworld for eternity, or until there's a sequel, which is not going to happen. And the movie goes back in time to when they're killed, and Shelley is revived, and he isn't. So what does that mean? Did the rest of the movie happen? If he just straight up dies, he can't come back or is he still going to come back as the Crow? What? The ending makes no sense. None of the movie makes sense. It's convoluted. You can tell there were scenes that were reshot. It's a mess from start to finish. It is, as you said, Bill, blasphemy. And like Madam Web, it was also number one on my list for quite some time. And it got usurped towards the end of the year by the next two movies I'm going to talk about when we get there. But Bill, you're number 3.
Number 3 for me would be a movie I just recently watched called Homestead. Homestead. It feels like a streaming movie. It plays like a streaming movie. I wanted to like this, but yeah, it fell really short for me, and I guess it's gonna try to be a TV show. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty interesting until I mean, it hooks you in right away, but then they forget about a lot of stuff that's going on. Yeah, this movie's bad. This movie's really bad. I did not like it.
Hello to Daniel's Hot Topics.
And I just watched it on Thursday night. Thursday night is when I watched it. So I found out that it's a 2024 film that's out playing like it's a new film this year. So I was able to put it on the list.
Daniel says it's Damien Dark. Yep. Neil McDonough. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Curse with why did Hollywood defile the dark beauty of the Crow? Brandon Lee movie will be tough to beat. Brandon Lee will always be the Crow. Rest in peace.
Yep.
Curtis, I actually like Skarsgård, but let's just say watch the pitch meeting for this one too. All I need of it, yeah. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. Both are unlikable characters. The whole romance, quote unquote, stuff between them was gross, boring, and stupid. Connie says, with me on a Crow. No, Skarsgård is a good actor, but for some reason I can't take to him. Agreed. In that film, anyway. Yeah, Homestead is.
It just play once you get into it, it plays like a streaming movie. It felt like it wasn't like on either Apple TV or Sci-Fi Channel. I was really hooked from the beginning, and the base of the story was intriguing, but then it gets into this. It goes places where like didn't expect it to go, and then it gets very preachy with the word of God and the belief of God and all that, and like it's shoved down your throat. That
Hello to the Sparking News podcast. Hale,
Hello.
stopping by to say hi. He's joining us
Yep.
from X. Clue Studio is with us. Salute, Deleted and Bill.
Hello.
All right.
Clue Studio.
We are up to Bill's number 3, Homestead.
Yep.
And I haven't seen Homestead, but I do. It is going to be a streaming series, and this is something else that I have an issue with personally. Is movies that feel like TV movies that come out in theaters.
Yeah.
If this is a streaming series, don't put this in theaters. Just air it. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's another thing that really upset me is that like it ends with then it showing you a preview of I don't know if it's another movie that I have to watch or that would have to watch or a series. That's really threw me off and made me really hate it. Really hate it. It's like no, they didn't. No, they didn't, and yes, they did. If you want to see more of what happens, tune into the series or whatever. And it's like, no.
I don't know if he's in Yellowstone, Rusty.
He wasn't. The guy on the poster there was in Yellowstone.
Oh, is he?
Season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. All right. So Homestead, Bill's number 3. All right. Moving on to my number 2. Let's see. I'll get myself back to this. And my number 2 is a real number 2. No. It was almost my number 1. And I considered putting it at number 1. But the reason that I didn't was because I was so angry at this movie and the way that it self-sabotages itself in literally the last minute of the film. I went, this movie does not even deserve to be number 1. Now, my number 1 last year was a movie called Origin. And when we did this show last March, the worst of 2023, I railed against that movie for a good half hour. You can pretty much just fast forward past that part of the show. I'm not going to go on as long with this movie, but man, I do have a lot of the same issues. My number 2 is The Order. The Order is based quote unquote based around the events surrounding the assassination of the radio DJ Alan Bird. He was killed in the 70s, not in the 70s, in the 80s, early 80s, by this basically white separatist group. And he was on their radar for quite some time. And he was not afraid to go on the air and kind of antagonize these people either. So when the real life incident happened, the shooting, the assassination, people were not really surprised, let's say. But this movie is very fair to him. And it's about the one thing that they get right. The rest of what happens in this movie is a complete start to finish fabrication. Now, I want to state this very carefully for the record. The Order was a real life white separatist organization. They did kill people, including Alan Berg. They did rob armored cars. They were racists. They were thieves. They deserved everything that was coming to them. So let me say that up front so that people are not confused. These people were scumbags and they got what was coming to them. All the prison time that they got, all of them that were killed evading police, they deserved what they fucking got. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. And if only this movie had just painted everything straight up what really happened, but it doesn't. It fabricates a lot. How Nicholas Holt's character meets his demise at the end of this movie. I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie. How Nicholas Holt's character meets his demise at the end of this movie didn't happen that way. Jude Law's character in this movie is not real. He is not a real person. He is a fabrication of the screenwriters. Ty Sheridan's character in this movie is not real. He is a fabrication. This is another case of Hollywood taking a real life event and twisting it into their own ends, inventing scenes, inventing characters, inventing scenarios that did not happen, and are trying to pass this off as reality. There's a crawl at the end of the movie saying that, this character did this much prison time. That character did that much prison time. That's fine. Here's what they say at the very end. And the very end of this movie blames Trump supporters
Oh, God.
for what the Order did. This group that's all in prison or dead 40 years ago. 40 years! When all Donald Trump was just some real estate magnate from New York City who didn't have any supporters and wasn't even on television, wasn't on anybody's radar. This is a movie that is written by an individual named Zach Baylin. If you don't know Zach Baylin, he also wrote The Crow. He's a white boys for Kamala type up front. He says that in his bio. This movie is a hit piece against the right, just like Origin was. As Sin says here in the chat, yeah, at the end, they basically tried to connect the Turner Diaries with being the inspiration for what happened on January 6th. Basically smacking the label of white supremacist on it, retarded. Yeah, that's what this movie does. This movie, in its final crawl, equates the January 6th protesters to what the characters in this film do, when they had nothing to do with it. There was a movie back in the 90s called Tough Cop. It starred Stephen Baldwin. Stephen Baldwin playing the real-life New York City detective Bo Dietl. And Bo Dietl I'm familiar with because this is a guy who used to be on TV a lot. He was a bit of a glory hound. And he was kind of their go-to guy for the press whenever there was like a terrorist attack or some kind of, widespread police action. It would bring this guy on to explain things, right? And they did a movie about him, One Tough Cop, Stephen Baldwin. All right. So you go through the whole movie of Bo Dietl up against a mob because his partner gets killed in all of this. And then it's actually a really good movie. I was digging it. I was ready to put it in like the 3.5 star range, And then at the very, very end, it says, although there is a real life New York City police detective named Bo Dietl, nothing in this movie actually happened. Do not pass off a fabrication as historical fact. That's bad enough. You don't call people who had nothing to do with the crime that you were depicting in your film. You don't paint other people, a lot of whom weren't even alive when it happened, with that brush. You don't get to do it. Fuck you, Zach Baylin. Fuck you, Jude Law. Fuck you, Nicholas Hoult. Fuck you, everybody involved with this movie. You go to fuck back to England and you fix your own goddamn country. You don't come here and talk smack about my country. I don't give a fuck who you are. Okay? I do not give a fuck. I am sick of this out of Hollywood. Unfuck yourself. You want to make shit like this, like Origin? You go and do it. I ain't going to watch it.
All right.
I'm done with you. The UK is a mess. Yeah. And the reason it's a mess is because of people who made this movie. All right, I'm going to get political here for just a moment. You have a man in charge in the UK by the name of Keir Starmer who does not belong in office. And I don't know if recall elections are a thing in the UK, but I think you need one. I'm sorry, folks, but that's how I feel about it. Okay. Bill, you're number 2.
My number 2. One of Calgary down the Yellow Brick Road for a musical dud. Well, I gave last year's 2024 Wicked. What a disappointment through and through. I thought I would like this film, but no, I just couldn't like it. Eh, It's not for me. I don't know who it is for. Uh, Maybe the hardcore fans. But yeah, no, Wicked is a big dud in my book, and so why did I see that one? Why I had to see about it. This is a musical, and Wicked, it's a Broadway. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I can't compare because I never did see the play, but wasn't good. Was not good at all. Didn't enjoy it. Didn't like it. Felt bored, and that's all I had to say about it.
Okay. Personally, I didn't see Wicked. One thing that I do know that has me really concerned when it comes to the pacing is that the actual stage musical itself is about the length of this film. So why are they splitting it off into 2 movies? That alone makes it sound like the pacing for this movie is going to be way off.
Yeah, Clarn was.
And I don't know. It's a musical. There are some musicals I like, others I don't. It's not really like my favorite genre or anything. I looked at this as this is going to be a movie for the theater kids, and if they dig it, okay, doesn't really bother me either way. that's up to them. So anything more about Wicked, Bill?
No.
No? Okay. All right, Wicked, Bill's number 2.
Yeah.
Let me see. Move on. I guess UK's mess. It's a mild way to put it. Screen Trader, yeah. Caveat ties. He's digging it. Okay. Deleted Starmer will put out a bill to extradite you. Yeah, I'd like to see him try.
Yeah.
I decided I wouldn't be since I decided I wouldn't be watching Wicked. Had a lot against it. It's a musical. I'm not crazy about Wizard of Oz. Cynthia Erivo annoys me too much now. Yeah. Curtis says haven't seen either of the last 2 films, right? Which seems to be kind of a trend of people not seeing the movies we're talking about. Which here and there I don't really blame you for. They're not movies really worth seeing. All right, so that's your number 2.
Yep.
And here we are, folks. We have
number
come
1
to the end. Number 1.
This is it. Here it comes. Number 1.
Drum roll, please. Amelia Perez.
I didn't see that one. I didn't see it.
Yeah. I am not Mexican. I am not trans. Both groups have their issues with this movie. I understand those issues. I have other problems. Like, this movie is a tonal mess. It's a feel sorry for the scumbag movie. Just because you not only change identities, but change genders, does that absolve you of your sins of the past? You don't join a criminal organization because you feel like no one's looking at you. There's no one to root for in this movie because everybody's a scumbag.
Wow.
You know, and they try to.
When did that one have its release date?
This was in November. It went to it had a brief theatrical run and then it went to Netflix. Basically, the story is this: a drug lord wants to transition, and he kidnaps this attorney, pays her off to help him. And that's the first 40 minutes of the movie. And so this transition takes place. He goes to Switzerland, has the surgery. 5 years later, tracks the lawyer down again and says, basically, I want my family back. And arrange that for me. You know, so basically, this drug lord gets the wife and kids back by claiming that she is this distant relative, a cousin. You know, the coast is clear. Come live with me now. You know. And basically, it becomes this of drug cartel Mrs. Doubtfire, and it's awful. It's, you know, first things first. You have a movie that's supposed to take place in Mexico that wasn't filmed there. It was filmed in France by a French director who decided that he was not going to research either transgenderism or what life is like with the drug cartels. You know? It's a musical, but all of the songs are terrible. Except for the brief scene that Selena Gomez has where she and her side piece are singing at a karaoke bar, because it's the only scene of the movie where it looks like anybody's having any fun. It's a total mess. None of the stories work. You can't root for these people because they're all garbage. They gave 13 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, to this movie, and I'm like,
what?
This is obvious.
No.
This is obvious. This is so obviously a DEI checkbox movie.
Oh, geez. One of those, huh?
Yeah. I'm not going to go on and on about it. Watch the videos Paulie's done about it. You know, this is a movie that managed to not only pissed off the Latino community, it pissed off it pissed off the gay and trans community because they think this movie's garbage.
Wow.
This is
Wow, that's a lot of hate on the one
yeah,
film.
and
That's a lot of hate on one film.
And the whole firestorm going on now against the star of the film, who's this Carla Maria Gascon, formerly Juan Carlos Gascon, who is a TV actor, whose career didn't take off until after his transition, which makes me wonder why. Basically, here's my issue with this movie. Okay, it is a bad telenovela. It's a bad soap opera. That's all it is. It's a soap opera. They give this thing more nominations than they gave The Godfather? More nominations than Lawrence of Arabia? Are you fucking kidding me? I almost want this movie to win all of the awards, just so we can see just how low the Oscars have fallen.
Well, one thing we know about the Oscars, they've fallen off the tree a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
Who really watches or cares about them anymore? I don't. It's not something I used to look forward to the Oscars each and every year, but that hasn't been that case in about, I'd say, 15, maybe 18 years, maybe.
Yeah. Curtis says, haven't seen it. Since says, Amelia Perez was another one I decided as soon as I got the screener for it. That was a hard pass for me. Jacob Ironside, and hello to Jacob, in case I didn't say so earlier. It's kind of sad that people aren't going to the theater as much as they used to. You got movies being propped up.
There just isn't enough quality films to see. I'd rather go to the films to see an older film. From the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s. None of the new crap which they're pushing on us today.
Says Darkwood says, I think you're trying to create propaganda.
Hollywood really has has died. 2019 was the last good year for films. I swear to God, 2019 was the last good year for films where we had enough available films, good films to watch. And since the writer's strike and all that, and COVID, and it's just dead. It's dead. I can't foresee any, unless they drastically change something on their story making and the way they make films. It's Hollywood's dead. Hollywood's dead. It's died. It's lasting luster. I don't honestly know how much longer we're gonna be able to go to a movie theater to see a movie, because what's the point? There's no point to it anymore. It's gonna be a rare lost art form, going to the movies. So just how I feel.
Yeah. Sin says, Paulie was pissed last night that it won so many awards at the Critics' Choice. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but you got to understand how long ago they voted for the Critics' Choice, because that got pushed back so many times because of the fires. I doubt it would have won the awards that it won had they been voting for it now. Curtis says, last time I cared about the Oscars was when Lord of the Rings was being nominated and finally won. Since then, I have not noticed much that I cared about getting nominated.
That was That film was 2003, so that would have been maybe the 2004, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Since the sad thing is that people are ignoring great movies, Better Man was fantastic and tanked hard at the box office. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Anybody else? Venom Bite? Yeah, I said. Okay. So,
my number one. This is it. Here it comes, number one. Gladiator 2. I had high praise, high hopes for this film because it was titled Gladiator, and first Gladiator was so good. This one was such a huge disappointment. You told me about the baboons, but when I saw the baboons, I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Why is this CGI so bad? Why is this film suck? And they didn't even go with the original actor who played the, they went on to hire somebody else for the role of I mean, the main lady from, the lady who played the mom of the blonde lady. I can't think of her name. I can't think.
Yeah, Lucilla.
But she was in the original.
Yeah, she was in the original. Mm-hmm.
She still looks beautiful and amazing, but I just can't believe the way they did her like this, and the whole storyline. And I mean, come on, they filled the Coliseum with water and then put the shark. Come on, that's so cheesy. Such bad CGI, as much bad as the baboons.
Yeah.
And then Denzel Washington character. You thought you were gonna like him, and then you turned out hating me. It turned out to be the villain. Yeah, newsflash, he turned out to be the villain. Horrible villain, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I hate this. I hated this movie. I hated wasting my time with this movie, and it's another that will go down in infamy, saying, why did they make this? Why did I watch that? Because it had that title, Gladiator 2. You think it's going to be something. It's like, you should have just stopped at the first Gladiator. You didn't need to make this film. It did not need to be made. This goes under the question is, why did they do it? Why did he decide almost 20 years, some odd years later, to go back and make a sequel? Why? And it's just Gladiator 2. There's no originality to it, and that speaks to the whole film. There's no original. It's just can we carry on from the first one? That's how I viewed this film. And when I was done with it, yeah, that was a waste of time watching. I'll never need to revisit that film ever again. When I like something, I'll revisit it hundreds of times. Not this one.
I do want to say hello to Big Al Presents. I want to remind everybody once again that at 10 p.m. Eastern, that is 98 minutes from now, I will be joining Al for a special edition of Films with Friends, and we are going to be watching Damnation Alley from 1977. Venom Bites has agreed. It didn't need to be made.
No, it didn't.
Now,
it absolutely did not.
Now, there was a script that was floating around for a long time for Gladiator 2. You can find this on the net. That was written by Nick Cave, the singer Nick Cave. And that was about Maximus kind of time traveling and fighting into, fighting all of these other wars and ultimately winding up present day working for the Pentagon. I'm not kidding. This was the actual story. and there was going to be this whole thing about his son turning evil, and Lucius was going to be in it, and all that. And this movie's a weird one. Like I said, it's my best worst movie because it's the one that's kind of easily the most riffable. I kind of want to see it again just to riff it. That I kind of want to do that, Bill. I kind of want us to do this for a show and riff it. I'm serious as a heart attack. I want to do that. And but the thing is, I think this movie was made for the sole purpose of Ridley Scott and Denzel Washington hanging out in Italy or wherever they filmed it, so that they can smoke cigars and drink wine. That's the only reason this movie got made. And I've always been a big fan of Ridley Scott. I'm looking forward to his movies, but of the last few that he's done,
I've really tanked badly.
Yeah, and
They've done horribly.
I understand.
He's not the director that he used to be, in the way I see it. He's maybe past his prime, and that's sad to say about a good filmmaker, a good director.
Yeah, this 2024, the year I lost my faith in Ridley Scott. Big Al says, agreed, didn't need to be made. Enjoyed it for most time. The CGI, the CGI.
It's awful. It's god awful.
Killed it. Yeah. Like I said earlier, when they did the once those CGI baboons showed up, I just looked at it as, okay, I'm watching an asylum film, and okay, and I looked at it as this is bargain basement. Gladiator, this is Sci-Fi Channel Gladiator, like I said, it didn't make my worst list because I was laughing too hard. So I am by no means recommending it, but it's the worst movie I would watch again. Oh boy, fucking Gladiator 2.
Yeah, Gladiator freaking 2. What were they thinking? Why?
All right. Well, that was that was
our worst films of
2024. Oh man,
we got through it.
It was easy. It was easy for Bill because he didn't see as many movies. So I had half the movies I saw this year to sort through. It was not a fun year.
No.
But however, there is good news. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, right, Bill?
Yeah.
All right, 3 p.m. Eastern will be the best of list.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a much more fun show to watch because, again, you might be surprised by what's not on the list, and you might be happy with some films that are. And I know on my list, I might be pointing you in the direction of some movies that you didn't see. Gladiator Baboon, starring Michael Madsen, coming from the asylum. Yeah, No, let me do this right. Yeah. Hi. Michael Madsen here. And I'm Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and the 2024 movie Monster Mash, which, as you noticed, was not in the worst list. So I guess I'm moving up in the world.
Wow.
Deleted. Yeah, Michael, am I being paid for this? No. No, you're just here's a cameo appearance. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Monster Mash. A lot of fun being paid making it, and I still haven't seen a script though, so yeah, I just made that shit up as I went along. Okay, well, it was good seeing you. It was good being here. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Madsen, Dr. Victor Frankenstein. Good to see you. Okay, I'm back. Oh, man.
Hail, Age Boomer.
All right. Yes, Age Boomer. Good to see you, sir.
Yes. Indeed.
All right. I'm going to be joining Boomer tomorrow night on Geeky Geezers, where I'm once again going to be sitting for Troy. All right. So let's close out the show. Bill,
Okay.
Any last words? What do you have coming up?
Well, it's karaoke here in a while. We're going to be doing some karaoke over here on my channel for a couple hours. And then tomorrow, the best films with you, the best films of 2024. And then on to the big game. The big game.
Yes,
the
big game.
Super Bowl 59. The Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, the chef.
Man, that's what I got going on.
Yes, I choose to call them. All right. Yes. All right. And as I said, I am going to be joining Big Al Presents in about an hour and a half for Films with Friends, Damnation Alley from 1977. I am going to be joining Bill tomorrow, 3 p.m. for the best of. And later that night, after the Super Bowl coverage, I will be joining Boomer for a special Geeky Geezers. I do want to thank everyone who joined us in the chat. I want to thank one who joined us on X. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. We had 86 people watching us at one point or another. So thank you to everyone who joined us. Hit the like, share out the stream. If you are new to Bill's channel or mine, please subscribe.
Indeed. Hit that like button.
All right.
Give us comments. Give us your comments. We love to see your comments.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for my to all of my channel members. A couple of you were here in the chat during the show today. So there are your names scrolling across the bottom of the screen. From HQ and our second home office in Arizona. Good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe and healthy. Because this is how we win. And now for the real best picture of the year.